My name's Peter Marr. I'm type of a regular feature at Chris's book launch. I said last time, that's it, mate, I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again. So anyway, he's rung me up. He rang me up. This is a classic. He rings me up and he said, "Oh, mate, would you be the MC?" Or I said, all right, but I need somewhere to stay. "Oh, you can't stay with me." He said, "You can't stay with us. Tom Stevens is staying with us." And then he said, "Well, you could sleep with Tom." That Tom, I love you dearly, but no. So I've totally been relegated to a hotel, and I had to pay my own way down, and here I am.
You get a book.
Yeah, and I got a book. I got a book 10 minutes ago, which he says, "I want you to read this before you say anything." Okay, right. I really find this quite an interesting book launch. I don't know where he gets all the people from. I don't know where you all come from, actually. I don't know this many people. But I find this interesting, and it tickles my curiosity, because I've got to tell you, I knew for a very long time, I knew nothing about women. Absolutely bloody nothing. I was born into a family. I was born in 1949 into a family where my father was 60 when I was born, and Mum was 47. So I was lucky to be here, and I'm the absolute type of epitome of the pre-pill age. So I arrived. I have two brothers. The brother in front of me, or older than me, is 10 years older than me, and my other brother was 13 years older than me. Dad was what you would call he was a crook, really. He was an SP bookmaker. He smoked a cigar, and he was only about that size, and he was as round as he was wide. And we always knew when he won, because he'd arrive at the door on Saturday night with a cigar in the mouth, and there'd be 10 bob under our pillows in the morning. He never told us that he won. He used to always say that he broke even. So I grew up in that family. I then went to, Dad died when I was only about 12, and I went to a boarding school, an all-male boarding school, and then I went from there to the seminary, because my mum wanted me to be a priest. That wasn't the only reason, and I don't blame her for that, but it was basically, I type of went there. It was either Vietnam or... So off I went to the seminary, and I learned less about women in the seminary, because the only women who were there were the nuns, this order of nuns called Our Lady Help of Christians, I think, and they were a semi type of silent order, or semi-enclosed order, and their purpose in life was really to wait on the priests and the seminarians. So you imagine what was flowing through our minds at this particular stage. I was ordained. I went to a parish in Sydney. I was a complete failure as a priest, complete failure. I lasted about 4 years, and then I left and met this very feisty feminist who, well, actually the chronology is not quite right, but that's the story. And my my daughter is here, so one of my daughters is here. So, anyway, so we then got together, and we lived together for about 8 years, and then Linda said to me, look, this living together, I want to get married. If we don't get married in 12 months, well, I'm going to leave you. And my immediate thought was, you beauty, I've got another 12 months. Which I took right to the wire. We then had a son who died not long after birth, and then we had 3 daughters. So all of a sudden, I was put in a learning curve, and I've been in that learning curve ever since. It's really quite interesting because my mum was some people here knew my mum actually. Neil Brown, I think, met my mum. She was a very interesting person. She was very much an individual, a feisty woman of Irish Catholic background who was controlled by nobody and never took a backward step except to the church. And she was controlled by the church. Controlled is not quite the right word, but she had this unbelievable loyalty to the church. I remember when I was working as a priest, I went home one time and I said to my mum, you don't look well, what are you doing? Oh, I can't be eating, I'm fasting. And she was about 74 at this stage. And I said, which is it's not so old now, it seems to me, not so old. But I said, well, do you know, Mum, that you don't have to fast when you get over 70? See, I was pulling on it. And she said, I don't believe that. And I said, that's the teaching of the church. You don't have to fast when you get over 70. She said, I don't believe you. I'm going to ask a real priest. So it wasn't a great start to the whole thing. I don't want to ramble on too much, but I think discrimination is something that is alive and well. And I think maybe you have to be involved in a family of women to actually see it or understand it. Now, I want to show you something here. Here is the race guide. Right? Now, I'm going through the races this morning and I'm looking at this quite on the plane and I'm thinking to myself, and then all of a sudden it struck me that the names of all the female jockeys are prefaced by Ms. None of the men have Mr. in front of them. They're all Ms. So immediately they're relegated. This is a second-rate race meeting at Rose Hill today, I tell you. So I'm not too worried that I'm missing it, but I am but you see what happens? I mean, just in the secular world, they're straight away, they're relegated to second-rate race meetings and second-rate riders because of their plumbing. Now, really, we've got to get over that, haven't we? Now, we can talk about the church, and everybody will, but I think that's just a really graphic example. When our kids were at school, there was a huge punch-up in the. They didn't go to Catholic schools; they went to Grafton Public School, and there was a huge punch-up over clothing. About the girls had to wear dresses, the boys wear shorts. We told them objected to that. There was this massive meeting, massive. Like, I mean, there could have been, there could have been drug smugglers or whatever in there, or you wouldn't have got as many people there. But there was a massive meeting and votes on how, it was just not right for the girls to be wearing shorts. And we just ignored the vote and we sent them off in shorts, and nobody was game enough to confront Linda, who's only about 5'2", but nobody would confront her about it, so they went. The other interesting thing that happened is that when we used to go to Mass, you see, for special occasions. So one of those special occasions was Easter. So all the kids, we put them all in the car and off we went. And I can see my daughter, she knows what I'm going to say. We went to Mass at Grafton one Easter. And we're sitting, and I thought, I'm in serious trouble, because the priest was just talking complete rubbish. We even said a decade of the Rosary just before the consecration. It was just fantastic. So when we get out, the three of them, who are aged about 16, 14 and 9, are walking in front of us. So we get to the car, they get in the back seat of the car, and then they said, Zoe, I think, was the spokesperson, Dad, there's something we want to say to you. She said, we aren't putting up with any more of that. And I said, I suppose you're saying you're not going again. No, we're not going again. We don't mind if you drive us down to the riverbank and read something out of that book that you read. You can do that. We don't mind we're talking about spiritual things. We can do that. But we're not going to that again. So that was the last time we took the kids along. That's a bit sad, isn't it? And I think that's what's happening in the world today. And I don't know whether, well, I don't think it can be corrected, but maybe I haven't read the book yet. It might be. Well, I have the pleasure today to introduce Susan Ryan, the Honourable Susan Ryan. I've been reading a little about Susan, and